There we were, one of the few instances in my life where my father, mother, and I were together in the semblance of a family. I was trying on red boots that my father and mother thought were the ugliest thing in the world. To me, they were fashion, something that I would see in hindsight my parents lacked. For my father, to dress designer was to dress in class. For my mother, gray was the color of wealth and not eternal winter. Yet at the time their launched Dave Chappelle skit on the ugliness of these shoes I wanted crushed me. Saying that is really hard, and I almost want to cut off my tongue as I write that. But my mother has always been duped by people and thought that she was a light-hearted person because she never brought up their betrayals. For my mother, her intelligence was unquestionable, even at the face of the many people that betrayed her. To her, it was not that she was stupid or naive, but it was also not that they were necessarily evil. Instead, they all lived in some level of lostness that she had to forgive because she was also Jesus. My mother had confused compassion for docility and exhaustion, a trait I had noted in myself. Many times I did not fight back against existential threats and thieves because, frankly, I hate fighting. And boy, did they take advantage of that. Yet my mother trained me to believe this was the discomfort of a good person, emotionally regretting not slapping the shit out of the losers who try to Will Smith them. There I was with the boots on my feet, and my mother and father were laughing at me like an SNL skit. I felt crushed. My mother was not only laughing at me with someone I had told her was verbally and mentally abusing me, but was also laughing with the man she would claim ruined her life over the person that she said saved it. I could not understand the hypocrisy, and in perspective, I was so clearly sad. One of my expressive annoyances is that I wear my feelings even when I do not want to do so. She knew I was upset, but was too desperate and focused on looking lighthearted before the very person that made sure she could never be such a thing fully again. At the moment, as I watched their uniting laugh, I wanted to say, you know what's ugly? Planning a destination wedding with one woman while already married to another, and then having her find out you're an alleyway crackhead by you snorting more coke in your mutual bathroom. Of course, I did not say that. Yeah, that voice, whom I call the reader, is the one I always crush to my regret. Had I said that, I would have walked out with a black eye, but I sure would have felt like Superman. I was protecting people that did not protect me, at least not over their narratives, their humor, or worse, each other. That night, oddly enough, I still got the red boots and one of my hardest realizations. If my parents had to choose between their jokes and my heart, they would choose their jokes. Their incessant teasing of me would go on to make my childhood and self esteem feel breathless, like I was flying through life with an oxygen mask. Yet to tell them this would then have them saying I had no humor, while also remarking I was one of the funniest people they knew. Once again, a hypocrisy I had to accept because they really did want their joke. So let's dissect. Yeah, I wanted these really, I mean, I have funky style. People really love my fashion. And even when I say funky style, I feel like I'm just trying to pacify how much my mother was always insinuating I was ugly. That I or telling me I had bad fashion. She doesn't like how I do my hair, my makeup. There was I never looked good to her. My body. I could always be on a diet. And it haunts me till this day. And I think that moment in particular haunts me because she was always judging my looks every day, but it was between us. And it was and my father was always calling me ugly. And then I would tell her, and she would just say he had bad humor. And it was one of the few major moments where we all three of us were together, kind of having this false we are family night. And I wanted these red boots, and my God, did they just eviscerated me. I ended up getting the boots, but it's so weird because like I I felt like I got the boots more out of rebellion. Like I didn't even like them, but I felt like I had to I liked them, but they made fun of me so badly that I started not to like them and feel ashamed that I liked them. But I still got them out of rebellion and out of like some kind of, last attempt to stay liking what I liked in the face of people that didn't like themselves. Because that was the thing. My mother always wanted to look really lighthearted. And then the door would close and she became a dictator. Do this, do that, clean this, clean that, clean that. Why are you doing this? And I always felt in my when I look at my childhood that my father like materially abandoned me. He was obsessed with me knowing that financially and physically in every way he was not showing up for me, but he was going to show up for his kids and for his grandkids. And even though he didn't like them, and even though he was terrified for his other wife, he was going to provide for them, whether it be by force or delusion, whatever, but not me. Like he was allowed to bring his darkness unto me. And with my mother, I just always felt and would witness how supportive she was and generous and loving she was to everybody else but me. But financially, she showed up, you know? So it was this weird dichotomy of kind of having these different levels of emotional abandonment from my parents based on some level of finance. My father would never pay for me, and in order to prove that he would never pay for me or not feel bad, he would debase my humanity. My mother, like she just I did not grow up with compliments or hugs. That wasn't her style. But I hated that her style was like dictator. Like just do this, do that. Oh my God, you're gonna wear this. Oh my God, you're like so overly critical. She might as well be a Virgo. And it made my childhood feel really breathless. And it made me feel towards my mother. And it's something that we have thought about time and time again. Like she was disloyal. Like you don't need to laugh with this guy. You don't need to prove you're cool with his bigamy and his addiction and his mental abuse of you. You're fine. You're over it, even though it continues. You don't need to prove anything to this guy, especially in exchange of me. And it was something that always happened throughout my life. My mother would prop me as the joke or as the lesson plan. Like if she wanted to teach everybody how to raise a good kid, our shopping event would turn into make sure she's not spoiled, don't get her anything. It's like, oh God. But only when she had her friends there. Or if we went out to visit family, there would be at least one massive joke cracked on my spirit. Deandra can't do this. Deandra can't do that. And the problem is, it made everyone believe that I was this needy, dumb kid that was also fun and somehow getting straight A's. Like it's almost like my parents were my first lesson in contrasting reputations because people were surprised at how intelligent I was, how wise I was, how chill I was, for how ridiculous they made me look, for how frazzle dazzled. My father never let me see his family often. He never felt comfortable. And I've said it so many times, he would go off that they're racist, that they actually don't like me. And the few times that I saw them, I felt, and he was there, I felt very monitored. Like if I laughed too hard, he was like, calm it down, calm it down. I'm like, you're a cokehead. You're on coke right now. Who's not calm? And I think that's why that reaction I had internally of kind of wanting to say, what's really ugly? Bigamy. It's really ugly? Laughing with your bigamist. I just always felt I was this pinata for two people that hadn't healed themselves. And it's something that I think about a lot because I want to be a mom, but I don't want to make the same mistake as my mother in believing that I will be so different from her without really healing what she did to me. My grandmother was very harsh on my mom growing up and still is. And my mother never healed it because my grandmother raised my mom with the same mentality my mother raised me, which is, if I give to you financially, it is a symbol of my love. Yet I'm always telling you that you owe me and that it was really hard to pay for you over paying for myself. And it kind of makes the love feel like a burden. And I just didn't understand why she made me the joke or made me the burden for this guy that really was a loser. And that when he left, she would talk about how he was a loser or admit he was a loser, but kind of defend him like, what can you do? He's your dad. It it really is crazy because I know my mother didn't love my dad, but this was an instant, like this was, I had so many instances like this episode throughout my childhood that make me kind of feel like I just don't need to know why anymore. I don't need to know what their psyche was. Clearly it was crazy. And I got the red boots. I didn't wear them. I never wore them. They were with shame. But I just told myself that in getting them, I really did something. And within a year, my mother secretly threw them out. So it was, no biggie. But the moment stuck out to me for sure. Check out daddyrecovery.com for my stories and my artistry. Check out deandrereviewsall.com for my entertainment reviews. Check out Deandra on all music platforms for my music. And please follow me. I love that you're joining my journey. Thanks.